When the shuttle doors opened, I realized two things at once. First, her planet was beautiful. Second, I was absolutely, catastrophically underdressed. The sky above Tarev'kai shimmered in layered shades of indigo and pale silver, streaked with drifting ribbons of bioluminescent cloud life that pulsed gently like slow heartbeats. The air tasted faintly metallic and sweet, like rain on stone. Towering crystalline structures rose from the valley ahead, grown rather than built, organic lattices that caught the sunlight of the twin stars and fractured it into prismatic halos. And at the end of the landing platform stood her family. All of them, waiting. "Relax," Liara whispered beside me. Easy for her to say. Liara Vallis, daughter of the Vallis bloodline, scholars, generals, and political architects of the Ketheri Dominion, looked effortlessly regal even in simple attire. Her skin shimmered faintly with silver undertones beneath deep sapphire pigmentation. The faint constellation-like markings along her collarbones glowed softly when she felt strong emotion. Right now, they were glowing. She was nervous too. "You didn't tell me they'd all be here," I muttered. "They insisted," she replied. "You are unprecedented." That was one way to put it. Humans had only joined interstellar society 15 years ago. We were still considered unpredictable, emotionally volatile, physically resilient, and socially confusing. The Ketheri, on the other hand, were ancient, structured, tradition-bound, and obsessed with lineage. And Liara had chosen me. Chosen a human, which meant her family had invoked something called the Rite of Worth. Translation: they were about to examine me like a specimen under a microscope and decide whether I was worthy to bond with their daughter. No pressure. The reception. We stepped forward together. The first to greet us was Liara's father, High Strategist Valor Vallis. He was taller than Liara, broader through the shoulders, his markings brighter and more defined. His eyes, solid white with faint golden rings, locked onto mine with surgical precision.
"Human," he said.
"Sir," I replied. He extended one hand, long fingers tipped with delicate ridges. I'd studied Ketheri customs. I mirrored the gesture and clasped his forearm instead of his hand. Warrior's respect, not subordinate greeting. A flicker passed through his gaze.
"Interesting."
Liara's mother, Matron Selenth, stepped forward next. Unlike Valor, her presence felt like gravity rather than steel. Her voice carried resonance that vibrated faintly in the chest. "You understand the implications of this gathering, human?" "Yes," I said honestly. "You're deciding whether I'm fit to stand beside your daughter, whether I strengthen your bloodline or diminish it." Silence. Then Selenth inclined her head slightly. "You have listened." Behind them stood a semicircle of siblings, cousins, elders, some armored, some robed, some bearing ceremonial crests. This wasn't a polite dinner. This was judgment. Valor turned slightly. "The rite begins." Liara squeezed my hand once before stepping back to stand with her mother. And I stood alone. Trial of strength. The first examination was physical. Of course it was. I was escorted to a circular arena carved from living crystal. The floor hummed faintly beneath my boots. Across from me stood a Ketheri warrior, one of Liara's cousins, judging by the shared facial markings. He carried no weapon. Neither would I. Valor's voice echoed from above. "Demonstrate resilience." The warrior moved first.
Fast.
Faster than most humans could track. He closed the distance in a blink, striking low and high in fluid combination. I barely got my arms up in time. Pain shot through my forearms as bone met alien muscle. Ketheri were stronger than baseline humans. But I wasn't baseline. I'd grown up on Earth's higher gravity industrial colonies. I'd served in the Joint Defense Fleet. I'd survived boarding actions against pirates who thought humans were soft. The next strike, I didn't block. I stepped inside it, wrapped my arm around his extended limb, and pivoted. Momentum is universal. He hit the crystalline floor hard enough to crack it. A ripple of surprise moved through the watching family. The warrior rolled instantly to his feet, eyes blazing now, not insulted, but engaged.
Good.
We circled again. This time, I let him push me back. Let him think he was overwhelming me. When he lunged high, I dropped, hooked his leg, drove my shoulder into a center of mass. We both crashed, but I came up on top, forearm across his throat, not crushing, just controlling. He stared up at me. I released him immediately and stepped back. After a moment, he rose and struck his fist to his chest in acknowledgement. Vaylor's voice carried again. Human physiology. Inferior in muscle density. Superior in adaptability. Not praise, but not dismissal either. Trial of mind. The second examination took place in a chamber of shifting light. Liara's older sister, Aranth, was chief archivist of their line. Her eyes glowed brighter than the others, augmented cognition implants woven seamlessly into her neural structure. She gestured for me to sit. Between us hovered a lattice of symbols and geometric constructs, each one representing political variables, trade dynamics, military projections. You are aware, she said, that bonding with Liara places you adjacent to strategic decision-making within the Dominion. I am. Then solve this. The lattice expanded. 3 border systems contested by rival factions. Economic collapse in a 4th. Pirate incursions increasing along a hyperlane choke point. Military resources stretched thin. Humanity had faced similar problems. Different stars. Same math. Your error, I said slowly, scanning the projections, is assuming stability must be restored through force projection. Aranth's expression didn't change. Continue. Redirect trade incentives to the contested systems. Make piracy less profitable by undercutting black market demand through sanction channels. Then, rotate smaller rapid response fleets instead of stationing large garrisons. Mobility discourages opportunists. She tilted her head. That leaves the economic collapse. Integrate them into a joint venture with Earth. A faint murmur spread around the chamber. You presume much, Aranth said coolly. I do. Because humans are desperate for meaningful alliances. We'll invest heavily to prove ourselves. You gain loyalty. We gain legitimacy. Silence. Then, slowly, Aranth deactivated the lattice. Human thinking, she said quietly, is disturbingly nonlinear. I smiled. Thank you. A flicker of amusement crossed her features. Noted. Trial of spirit. The 3rd trial was unexpected. They took me outside the city. Beyond the crystalline towers lay wild terrain, forests of towering spiral growths that hummed with internal energy. The air vibrated faintly. Liara walked beside me this time, though she remained silent. At the forest's heart stood an ancient structure, older than the Dominion itself. A natural spire of living crystal, veined with radiant light. The Heartstone, Sullen said. This trial, Vaylor added, cannot be influenced by strength or strategy.
Great.
I approached the spire. As my hand touched its surface, the world dissolved. I was standing in a field under Earth's sky.
Blue.
Endless blue. I hadn't seen it in years. My childhood home lay in ruins around me, abandoned industrial towers, cracked pavement. The colony where I'd grown up had been shut down after corporate bankruptcy. Families displaced. Dreams shattered. My mother's voice echoed faintly. You have to be stronger than what breaks you. The scene shifted. The pirate boarding action. Fire in the corridor. My squadmate Darius falling beside me. You don't quit, Mason. Not now.
Pain. Loss.
Every failure. Every regret. Then Liara's voice, soft but clear. You are not defined by what you survive. You are defined by what you choose. The illusions pressed harder, trying to fracture resolve, to expose doubt. And I had doubt. I wasn't Ketheri. I wasn't ancient or elegant or genetically curated. I was human. Stubborn.
Scarred.
Relentless. I choose her, I said into the void. The pressure intensified. I dropped to one knee, but didn't withdraw my hand. I choose to stand beside her. Not above. Not beneath. Beside. The illusion shattered. I was back before the Heartstone, breathing hard. The spire pulsed. And, for the briefest second, it glowed in resonance with the faint human bioelectric field in my skin. A ripple of astonishment moved through the gathered family. Selentha's voice was almost reverent. The Heartstone responds only to truth of intent. Valor stepped forward. Human Mason Hale, you have endured strength, demonstrated cognition, and revealed unbroken will. He turned to the gathered line. The rite concludes. The verdict. They did not deliberate long. Ketheri valued clarity. Valor approached me first. When Liara informed us of her intention to bond with a human, I anticipated weakness, emotional impulsivity, inferior resilience. He studied me carefully. I was incorrect. Selenth stepped beside him. You are not Ketheri. No, I said. And yet, she continued, you possess qualities our lineage has long prized: adaptability, loyalty, refusal to yield. Liara's siblings stepped forward one by one, striking their fists to their chests in formal acknowledgement. Then Valor spoke the words that would echo in my memory forever. Human Mason Hale, the Valis bloodline recognizes you as worthy to stand beside our daughter. The tension I hadn't realized I was holding released in one long breath. Liara crossed the distance between us. Her markings glowed brighter than I had ever seen. You survived, she whispered. Barely, I replied. She smiled. You did more than survive. Aftermath. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything in human culture. Ketheri bonding was not possession.
It was partnership.
Two individuals standing as equals before lineage and stars. When Liara placed her palm against mine before the assembled Dominion representatives, the bioluminescent markings along her skin flared, and, astonishingly, faint echoes shimmered along mine where our hands touched. The crowd murmured, a symbolic resonance, emerging not of biology, but of intent. Valor addressed the assembly. Today, the Valis bloodline expands beyond tradition. We do not dilute ourselves. We evolve. Humans watching the broadcast across the galaxy would later call it a diplomatic turning point. The first major Ketheri bloodline to formally bond with humanity. Trade agreements followed. Joint military initiatives. Cultural exchange. But in that moment, standing beneath twin suns with Liara's hand in mine, none of that mattered. What mattered was the simple truth I'd felt in the Heartstone's trial. I wasn't worthy because I was stronger, or smarter, or superior. I was worthy because I chose not to walk away when it would have been easier. Epilogue. Months later, I stood beside Valor on a balcony overlooking Tarev'kai's capital. You have altered the trajectory of our lineage, he said quietly. So have you, I replied. He studied me. You understand that challenges will come. Not all bloodlines approve. I'm human, I said. We specialize in challenges. For the first time, the high strategist of the Valis bloodline laughed. A deep, resonant sound. Good, he said. Because the Dominion will need that. Behind us, Liara stepped onto the balcony, her presence warm and steady. Together, we looked out across the crystalline city. Two species, one future. The Ketheri had examined me, measured my strength, tested my mind, probed my spirit, and, in the end, they had not found perfection. They had found humanity, and decided it was enough.